Welcome everyone to Raw Dog Game Reviews. I'm the Raw Dog, and this is what we do here at Raw Dog Game Reviews. I'm going to review a game I recently played. But here's the catch. There's no script and no editing. I'm just going to ramble on my review for the game, off the top of my head, off the cuff if you will. Now that that's out of the way, let's get to it, and let's go in Raw Dog. Okay, this time we're talking about Dragon Quest Infinity Strash, the adventure of Dai. I'm just going to call it Dragon Quest Infinity Strash, I guess. Or just call it Infinity Strash. Yeah, it's called Infinity Strash. Okay, so I just finished this game recently, a little bit behind, honestly. But let's see. The graphics were good. Oh yeah, I should talk about the game first. The game in general. The game was fun. I liked it. It was a really good game. I really enjoyed it. It's got a really nice playstyle. It feels like a Dynasty Warriors kind of mix with a JRPG, and it has a really nice feel to it. I really enjoyed where it was going. I have to say that I didn't like the length of it. We'll get to that. But yeah, I don't think it was. I think it was too short, especially for the price of admission. Like I bought it day one, full price, and yeah, I don't think it was worth it. I'm a big fan of the anime. I really enjoyed the anime, and I watched it all the way through. And the game doesn't go to the end of the anime. I mean, I knew that going in, but still, it still feels like it was really short. It felt like it was a short game. It felt like it was a game that I beat it in like 2 days, maybe even 3 days. So I mean, it was a very short game. It was a short game, and it felt short. So I think that's a bad combination. But it still felt enjoyable. It was a fun game. So I would definitely recommend it, and would say that if you enjoyed the series, you should buy it and enjoy the game. But I would say buy it on sale. Wait for it to go down in price. Don't buy it right away. Wait for it because, yeah, definitely not worth the price of admission. Good, but not good enough for the length. So, graphics. It's good. The graphics look like a good anime cel-shaded graphics. It's what it should look like for the anime. We see a lot of these days with the Naruto X Boruto and One Piece Odyssey. A lot of these games look really good in the cel shading now, and they just look really good, really close to the anime. They just look on point for the anime they're trying to be. They look really, really good. So the graphics are just on point. They look really good. The characters look really good. The colors pop. It just looks good. So I'm going to skip over that. Next thing was the story. The story is easy. Let's go over the story because the story is really quick. The story is the story of anime. So if you watch the anime, you know the story. It goes all the way to the fight with the castle. I forget the castle's name. It goes from the beginning of the game, the beginning of the anime, where they find Dai on the island, all the way to the castle, where they fight the castle. And Dai first gets to use his new sword, the Sword of Dai. So it goes all the way through there, and it does involve every single important fight up to that point, and a couple like, normal fights there too, just to add some areas in. But it doesn't really add much more. There are obviously like free missions, but the free missions don't really add much. They're just basically grind fodder. They don't really add much story. They don't really do anything interesting. And the story is just that. It just follows that. It doesn't do anything else. Although I will say that the story starts and ends beautifully. Like they picked the fight with Baron, Dai fighting his father, to be where the story starts for the game. Because in that episode, in that part of the story, Dai loses his memories. So the game treats it as we were here, but now Dai's lost his memories. So we're going to redo the entire game as Dai regaining his memories. And see, this is the problem I have with One Piece Odyssey, is that it tried to do the same concept of reliving memories, but it didn't do it well because it made the memories weird by like saying the memories are different and we have to redo them, even though you already remember them, but they're different than you remember, so it's not exactly the same. And it was just a really convoluted plot that also tried to be like, oh, because this girl took your memories and mix them around, and she's evil, but she's not evil, and I think it was really just convoluted. It was overly complex when it didn't need to be. Dai does it perfectly, or I guess Infinity Strash does it perfectly, where it just goes off the anime's own plot line, where he does, actually lose his memories, and we just don't have any convoluted reason for it. He just lost his memories, and we're just replaying the entire series of events through his memories. That is how you should do it if you want to have the game have a reason for going through from the beginning, or just go through from the beginning because you can, because why not? That's the problem I think One Piece Odyssey had, was that you honestly could just go from the beginning and no one would blame you. We all want to play One Piece anyway. We all want to play through the story. We want to play as Luffy and kick butt. I mean, that's what we're here for. You don't need to make up some convoluted reason to do it. Just do it. So that's what I was here for with Dai. I wanted to play with Dai from the beginning of the story to the end of the story. And that's what happened. I didn't need some convoluted reason to do it. So it was perfect. But, like I said, it does not go far enough. But we all knew that going in, or at least you should have known that going in. I hope you knew that going in. And, it delivers exactly that. Going to the castle, and that's the end of it. I would love if there was, DLC for it where it gets to continue, but I don't think there's going to be. And I feel like it just didn't pick it. That is a good... I don't even know if it's really a good place for it to end. It really just feels like a sudden stop in the story. It doesn't feel like a good place for it to end. I feel like they should have just waited for the anime to finish and then brought the game out, or then finish making the game and make the game the entire anime story plot, and then actually give it a conclusion, because it just feels like it doesn't have a conclusion. Now, I understand that the anime wasn't finished, but then again, it's also a remake of an anime, so the original anime was finished, so they knew where the plot was going, so they could have just done it. But anyway, the point I'm trying to get at is, if they were going to stop here, or if they're going to stop at all, they could have picked a better stopping point that actually felt like a stopping point, or pick a point where it actually just felt like a stop, not where it actually just feels like it just feels like a really awkward place to end. It feels like it just kind of drops off. It doesn't really finish, and I feel like that's conflicting. You finish the game, you finish the story, and you're like, oh, that's it? We're done now? Well, where's the rest of it? That wasn't a conclusion. And that is just how it feels. It significantly doesn't feel like a conclusion, and that's the problem that it has. It should feel like a conclusion. Even though the story definitely isn't at the end, they should give some kind of conclusion so the game feels finished. And, well, let's move on to gameplay. So, the gameplay is where this game takes back everything it deserves. The gameplay is beautiful. It's a lot of fun. It feels really good. I would say that it's a nice mix between like a Dynasty Warriors kind of play, with obviously like JRPG. Yeah. So you grow levels like normally would in any old JRPG, but the gameplay feels and works and has like the whole action combat of like a Dynasty Warriors, and that works nicely. It makes it almost feel like a Souls kind of way too, but like a cheap Souls. Oh, I shouldn't say like that. I don't mean it in a bad way. I mean like more like an easy Souls, like a Souls on easy mode, where it definitely has that you can react and you can parry and you can dodge, and it has like the quick dodge for it. Well, the quick time effect. No, that's not for the witch time. There we go. The whole witch time effect. If you dodge just in the right time, things slow down. You get to have that moment. Or if you block just perfectly, the parry goes off, and time slows down again. You get like a perfect parry, and then you get staggered a little bit. And all these things are really good, and the gameplay just definitely feels it. But the problem with it is that the lock-on is kind of messed up. The lock-on really, really falls apart, and it kind of hurts the gameplay. So the lock-on only works for boss enemies. You can only lock on to boss enemies. Otherwise, you basically can't lock on. And now this is the way that Dynasty Warriors or Musou or Warrior games also function. You can only really lock on to boss enemies or important individual enemies. But the rest of the game is really free. And that's the good part about it. Like, you can freely control the battlefield otherwise. I can direct myself into open space and throw out gigantic big moves into open space, and the game doesn't matter. Like, I can do that. But the problem is that with this game, you can't do that. Or at least it doesn't like you to do that. if you're not locked onto the big boss enemy, or there isn't one, the game will kind of auto-target you to the next enemy. So if you hit the attack button, it will auto-target you to the next enemy, so you will automatically go towards them, which doesn't really work. And the idea is that, like, maybe you want to go grab that barrel that has a health item in it, or has the spirit power bar, Musou bar, whatever you want to call it, power up in it, so you can get more of that bar to do your big coup de grace attack. This is a coup de grace bar, because that's what they call it in this game. Anyway, so you can do that big move. Well, yeah, you kind of can't. You can if you run away enough and you're far enough away, and the game kind of actually understands that you're trying to target the barrel, but there's no real way for you to do it, because the game will kind of auto-target you back to the enemies. If there's an enemy nearby, the game will just shift you back to targeting that and pull you in that direction when you make the attack. And that kind of messes up the strategies that go along with the Musou and Warrior games. So it kind of fuzzes itself, or kind of shoots itself in the foot there. But otherwise, other than this whole weird auto lock mechanism it has, the game functions really well. So I would say that the game still does a very good job of doing exactly what it wants to do. But the only problem with that is that it's also, like I said, kind of on easy mode. I was playing on the standard normal mode, and, well, the game just was mostly easy. Like I said, I beat it in like 2 days. So you basically can just mash the attack button and just win regardless. You barely have to worry about what level you are. You barely have to worry about anything until you get to the bosses. When you get to a boss, then you actually start paying attention and start doing things. The game actually does a good job of making you have to actually function in the bosses, which is actually kind of a problem, because I was like 5 levels over the boss, maybe even 10 levels over the boss. Oh, I think it was 5 levels. And I still got utterly wiped out by the boss. I don't even mean like he just beat me. I mean like I got utterly wiped out until I had to actually participate and be really, really careful in the fight, to where it actually felt more like a Dark Souls or more like a very challenging Warriors game. And it was kind of a weird feeling because, like I said, because the lock-on doesn't really function well. So if there were multiple enemies in the fight, I was being pushed around different directions with how I was attacking. So it was like I was also kind of fighting those controls at the same time as fighting this really big, difficult enemy that took a lot of damage from me if I got hit. So it was kind of like I said, shot itself in the foot again. Like I was really fighting the controls. And if I wanted to, save my health items and go get that barrel, well, it didn't really function that well, because again, if the boss is chasing me around the arena, but if I hit the attack button to attack that barrel, if the boss is close to me, I go back towards the boss. I don't attack the barrel. And it's like, well, I didn't want to do that. I wanted to attack the barrel to get that health item. And so the game kind of shoots itself in the foot, like I said. You really are fighting against the controls on their own terms. It's good, but it's not good at the same time. So it really does have a bit of a problem there. But the game still reclaims itself, and it's still a really good game. I like the dungeon, the dungeon you get to go through, where you get to just go through challenge floors and all these things. That was really fun. But I also found it kind of just time consuming, I guess is the way to put it, because if you want to do it right, you gotta just start from floor 1, regardless. I mean, yeah, you could jump to this floor and start from there, but if you do that, you jump there at level 1, and you lose out all the levels you would have gained beforehand. So if you want to do it right and you want to do it strong, you want to just go from floor 1, and it's just time consuming. I did it a couple times, and I got some good memories from it and all those things. I guess if you want to call them the gear of the game. But it didn't seem to be worth it enough, and because you don't level up in there, you just get level ups for the dungeon itself, and the levels reset. Again, I felt like it was just time consuming and time wasting, when I could just be playing the game. So after you beat the game story legitimately, it gives you the challenge mode, where you have to basically just fight 1 or 2 fights per chapter. And they're just on super, super hard mode, where these guys will basically one-shot you, and you have to just figure out how you want to defeat them while they're one-shotting you. And you have to be very careful. Their patterns change. Then, yeah, like I said, it feels more like a Dark Souls again. But I ended up basically just choosing Mam, who becomes like a healing monk in the end of the storyline. So I ended up just choosing her to do these challenges because she can heal herself and is a strong attacker. So I don't have to worry about the healing items. I don't have to worry about running around the map trying to find a healing item when the game's auto targeting bullshit is messing with me. I just can actually just focus on the combat and focus on the dodging and focus on learning the patterns. It functions a lot better so I did that. And when I was actually wanting to go through the labyrinth or the dungeon, I would use Hyunkel. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that name correctly. I would use him because he had a lot of sweeping moves that would just sweep through enemies. So the game kind of optimizes in that pattern. But then again, like I gave up on the challenge fights like halfway through because, like I said, they were just time consuming. I already beat the game. I didn't feel like I needed to do this. I just feel like it was just another thing the game left me open to do because the game had nothing else for me to do. Because the story already finished, the game was, like I said, it felt like it just kind of dropped off. So like, well, you beat the game, but there's still other things you can do. We're gonna fill up the game mechanics and fill up our time slot with this. You can do the game again, and kind of like a New Game Plus mode, but it's not New Game Plus mode, or I guess it kind of is. Or you could just go through the tower or the dungeon, and just continuously go through floors. It feels like it's just extra things to be extra things. Like I don't really feel like I have a good reason to do these things just because I can to fill up time. So yeah, we'll move into final thoughts. I guess I'll try to see if I even hit 20 minutes in this video. We'll see. Anyway, yeah, that's it. The game was good. It was an enjoyable game, but I definitely feel like it was not worth the price of admission. If you can buy it on a sale, it's good. It's a fun game. If you like the Adventure of Dai, you like the anime, you'll get a good kick out of it. It's just a good game. It functions well. It takes a little getting used to, but there is actual definitive challenge in it. You have to level up. You have to think about the fights. You can't just rush them. Well, you can't rush boss fights. You can rush standard fights. But boss fights, you actually have to think. You can't just run in and just blitz it. It does a good job. It does a good job of being a good functioning game. I enjoyed it, but I was not satisfied for the price I paid for it. And I felt like the rest of the game was just fluff or was just bloat. I felt like the challenge mode was just bloat. I felt like the dungeon was just bloat. I didn't need to complete these things, and I felt no drive to complete these things, no desire to complete these things. So, yeah, it's a good, fun game. I recommend it if you enjoy Dai, if you enjoy the Adventures of Dai. If you like warrior kind of games, then I also recommend it. But I also, like I said, recommend buying it on sale. I don't recommend buying it full price. It was not good enough for full price. So, yeah, that's pretty much it.
Okay, well, that was my raw review. Thanks for listening, and if you liked it and want to hear more, you can like and subscribe. But I'll be back here regardless whether you like it or not, with more raw dog gaming reviews. See you next time. Bye-bye!